So this is a continuation of the last video on the uh, card game. This one is speaking about magic types, and basically this is what the, not this, but this is what the card would look like. You'd have the name on top right here, you'd have the health of the character, you'd have the type, which is a magic type, and you'd have the class, which is C for magic. You'd have the character in the middle, and that's pretty much it for like what most of the cards would have. Then specifically for magic types, you'd have this, which just basically says what type of spells they can use and what level of each spell. So for example, you'd have a symbol for fire, and then like level 1 through 5. So like say you'd have the symbol for fire, then right under that it would say like level 2, and then maybe they'll also have like a symbol for water and level 2 as well, so they can use level 2 water and level 2 fire attacks, or just spells in general. It doesn't have to be attacks. Then you have the weapon right here and the abilities of that weapon, which for most magic types it'll be like basically maybe a wand or like a vial, like a potion vial, or like a glove or glasses, and it will be usually something like, you know, ×2 for fire, or maybe minus 50% energy cost for fire attacks, or fire defense, or something like that, right? Simple things. If it's more specific, then it'll be better. For example, it'll be like this one specific attack does 10 times the damage for 50% of the cost, or something like that. But yeah, it'll just have the picture of the weapon and then the ability of what it does. Usually it'll be like, let's say, a picture of a red wand, like that's C, like C.126. With, that's the picture of a wand with like fire grip, and it will say ×2 fire symbol attacks, right? And then down here it will have how much energy the character starts off with and how much they gain per round. So for example, if you start off with 50 energy and you gain 10 each round, then you start off 50, next round you're at 60, next round 70, so on and so on, right? And for magic types, they have the character deck, and then they have the second deck, which is the spell deck. And this is what the spell cards look like. If you can sort of see that, it'll have the name of the spell, the cost of the spell, what type of spell. So for example, like a fire, it would have the fire symbol, and then what level. So it'll be like, you know, fire level 2, right? Then it'll have the image of the spell, then the abilities of what the spell does, which really is like, you know, okay, let's say a fire, like let's say it says fireball, cost 12, type fire, level 1, spell, the symbol of the spell, and then, you know, a fireball that attacks and does, you know, 120 damage. And it has the weakness on the bottom left and the strength on the bottom right. What that means is like its weakness would be water attacks. So, you know, if it's the same level, then it would be completely snuffed out. If it's a level higher, then 50% of its damage is out. 2 levels higher and it doesn't matter. Its strength, things that it's strong and against, would be like, you know, maybe air attacks or things that are flammable. It'd have multiple different symbols here, multiple different symbols here. So like it'd be weak against earth, be weak against water, it would be weak against, you know, things like that, where it would be like strong against gasoline. If gasoline would be a chosen one, it would be strong against wind, you know, and stuff like that for each card, right? And usually how it would work is if you're strong against something, it means you could take it out if it's at the same level and 50% of your power is gone, but it still goes through. So instead of 120 damage, it would do 60 damage. And then, you know, vice versa, if something's strong against you, it takes you out completely, but, you know, you've taken 50% of its damage away. And, you know, just things like that. Of course, depending on the character, especially for magic types can be archaeologists, scientists, students, you know, teachers, magicians, warlocks, witches, you know, all these different things. So if you have a character that's, you know, in book 5 and is a first-year student of a magic academy, you know, then in book 6, if you have a character based off book 6, same character, of course, it's going to be more strong. Like, either it's going to have a higher level of mastery of spells, so instead of like a level 1 spell, it has a level 2 spell mastery, or it's just going to have more wide variety. Instead of like one type of spell it maybe knows like 2 different types, right? And it's pretty much, that's just about it. It's like, if you don't, so the main thing you have to focus on with magic types is what types of spells they can use. So for example, fire, water, earth, and then what level. So not all of them are going to be the same level. You might have a level 1 mastery for earth, level 2 for fire, and a level 3 for water, which means you can use any 3 and below for water. Level 1 water spells, level 2 water spells, level 3 water spells, but you can't do the same for earth and fire. And then of course, if you don't have the right amount of energy for it, it doesn't matter. So most of the time what you'll do is you'll draw a spell and you'll look at it and be like, oh, you'll check if you could even use the spell. Oh, I have the right level and the right type, so I could use this spell. Oh, I don't have enough energy, let me wait until I get enough energy. Of course, that's really about it. If you've ever played things like Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic or Pokemon, maybe you'll sort of grasp it quick. That's actually the whole point of this, was sort of, as long as you read this, it's really basically just comparing and contrasting the spells, or mostly what it's going to do. If you do have like a fire spell and it's a fire based weapon and ability, you might have to pay a little attention to this, be like, oh wait, it's 2 times attack, or I don't have to use as much energy as the spell says it has to. But yeah, it's sort of more like an introductory. If I put out the game, then I would put out magic types first until people get used to all the rules of the actual game before I put in other types, because they'll have class abilities and types abilities and things like that, where magic types are just sort of very similar to like Yu-Gi-Oh and Magic and Pokemon. But yeah, if you have any questions about the way magic types work or how they do, just sort of ask me in the comments. Last thing I will say is, like, spell types can be very abstract to very vague to very specific. Like, it could be this person has a symbol for a house, he can use house spells, so then these spells are house based, and that's sort of stupid, but you can do stuff like that. Or like, this character can only use, you'll see the fire symbol, but it's blue instead of the normal red or orange. Then you'll be like, oh, he can only use blue fire spells, or his spells are just naturally more strong. But then of course it will say it on the character. But for the average majority of magic type, their cards, they'll look like this, and any special abilities or anything will mostly be on the spells. But yeah, thank you for listening. Like I said in the comments, if you have any questions about this, tell me. I still do have to do all-rounders, secondaries, and unique types. But honestly, if I put out the card game, which won't be anytime soon, if I do, I'll start off with this. So you might want to pay a little more attention to this and the first video to sort of understand how to play. You know what I mean? Anyways, that was just a short little video on how magic types, the cards in the card game works, and how they sort of look. See you.